Hello everyone, this is going to be a quick tutorial on how we can get browser use to do some work for us. So anyways, browser use is a really cool way to enable AI to basically take actions on what you tell it. And you can see browser use is up there. It's basically the best. This is the ChatGPT operator that I think most of us know about. There's another competitor called Skyvern that achieves similar performance to browser use. So let's get right into how we can use this for ourselves. So there's a really simple way to use it with the browser use cloud, which if you want to skip all of what we're about to go through, you can just go ahead and do that. Um, but basically browser use, we're going to have to clone this GitHub here. And what we want to end up using is the web UI, which I already have opened up here, but I just want to find the link for us here. Well, it's somewhere around here, I promise. Here it is. So this is what we're going to be using here, which is also built by the browser use team. So what we're going to want to get started with is you can open up an IDE or your or even just a command prompt, and we're going to want to clone this repository here. So let's start. Awesome. So then we want to open up that window there and copy the env file that they made as a nice example. Awesome. So now we have this .env file, and you can see you can set up your API keys. So for OpenAI, Anthropic, this would be like the GPT models, the cloud models. What we're going to use today is actually the Gemini 2.0 Flash model. So you're going to want to come to Google AI Studio. And the reason we're doing this is because Gemini is free. The 2.0 model is in an experimental version right now, so we can get as much usage as we want. And I can show you that real quick. Um, right, so the free tier here is basically what we're relying on. And since it's experimental, see, they don't even have it on here. But basically, this is the rate limits that we're limited to, which personally I haven't actually ever hit it. So it's a very generous free tier. So you're going to need to create an API key. For that, you're going to need a Google Cloud project, which is pretty easy to set up. So I'm going to create this key, and don't worry, I'll delete it after this video, but it's not going to make a difference because it is free. So now that we have that API key, we can set that in here and save that env file. And then so our next step is going to be installing the requirements. I can spell. So it's going to install the requirements from this file here. Oh, which will probably take about a minute. And so that's going to install that in here, so we have access to all these packages that Playwright uses. And what Playwright is a high-level API for controlling the browser. While that is loading, awesome. And then so what we need to use here is this guy. And so what this is going to allow is us to have a nice user interface because browser use by itself is just a library that allows us to do um, define an agent that uses their nice set of actions. You could compare it to like tool use or function calling for any of the other big LLMs. And so the web UI uses Gradio to show us what that looks like and allows us to manipulate it. So you can see that it's starting to boot it up right now. And importantly, you'll see we need to close all of our Chrome windows because this is trying to, there we go. So we can actually share this, and I'm pretty sure it uses ngrok to expose that. Maybe it doesn't, but we could expose it using ngrok, and that makes it very easy if we ran this on like a private virtual machine up in the cloud somewhere. We could actually set this up as an API to create. I actually have to open this in Edge. And if we had access to this as an API where we could basically just send a request to a server, that opens up a whole world of other possibilities where you as an individual or business owner, say you need someone to fill out a form once a week. Say a client calls or a lead calls in and they need a profile created for them on your CRM. You can send an API request, given it the proper permissions, right, to your server, which is running this web UI. You have to change this to Gemini here. We don't have to mess with these. We already set the API key and it already knows the endpoint URL. But it could do actions as if it were a human. And it's not extremely reliable yet, but you saw the the benchmarks, and it's comparable to Operator, and these things are only going to get better. So I'm going to close all my Chrome processes. Otherwise, this will not run. So what I like to use, and you can set it up to use your own browser. It's a little finicky, so I just use the debug Chrome window that it automatically sets up. So we have our API key, we have our provider using Gemini 2.0 Flash. Seems to be the best at this, and it's free, incredible. So this is where we're going to tell the agent what to do, which is awesome. Okay, so yeah, we'll stick with this for now, and then I'll show you a couple others. So let's just hope that it doesn't error out. And it seems like it's working properly. So it's a little slow booting up Chrome sometimes. So and this browser use in general is a little slow, and it's probably slower than a human. But like I said, these things are only going to get better, and the fact that this even exists at all is incredible. Now you can see it's using some kind of OCR to identify the buttons, and this is hands off, right? So I'm not doing any of this, and it's trying to figure out what to do based off the prompt that I told it. And see, what did we tell it? Give me the first URL. Sometimes it gets a little stuck, but I promise you it's thinking and it's trying to do exactly what I told it to. And so it looks like it finished here and it found me the URL. So now if you had this set up on a private server, a VM. I mean, you could run this on your own computer. Regardless, it would return something like this as the final result. You know, depending on your query. If you had it where it had to fill out some web form for one of your leads or a customer, some admin task that you have that requires um, website access, and there are no APIs for accessing that, this is exactly what you need. And it would just spit out a final result. Okay, um, new client account created or task performed. Um, so you can see that this actually created a recording for me. We go in here, we can see that it just created this, which formats very oddly, but that's okay. And so you can see I created a video of this doing a Webflow layout certification exam for me. And I posted the recording that it created. Not, you know, I just wanted to see if anybody was interested in this kind of thing. Um, so our next thing, sorry, wrong one. I can close this. And what we're gonna do, I'm gonna make sure to close Chrome again because I don't want any more errors. And what we're gonna do instead this time is let's just do the Webflow thing again, huh? So, and this is how I did it last time. I said, let me just find this link real quick. And so actually the first time that I had browser use take the test, it failed it. And so what I ended up doing was I went online, I found a Quizlet, and I basically just gave that as the additional information. I said, you just failed this test. Here's some information that might be helpful on how to answer. I got a 20 out of 25 questions correctly. So I think what that's 80% or so, right? So I think what Webflow requires is 88%. I mean, this isn't horribly important to you guys. Um, but it was that close first try, and I was absolutely amazed. And what you'll notice when you play around with this enough is that there is a whole other importance of prompting correctly because what it's trying to do is kind of follow what you're saying step by step. And so I know that when I hit start test, it's going to require me to fill this out. So I'm going to say, um, and so now it knows that it can use that. And it's pretty smart. So if I wanted it to be perfectly correct, I would just end up looking up the answers and I would say, um, use this information to answer the test. But I'm not gonna go through all that again. I just want to show you that this can navigate a little bit more of a complex um, we'll see. Either this means that it's going to keep trying. This is an error not from the AI, but from browser use itself. So it's trying to find my Chrome window, and I closed it, so I might have confused it, but let's see. Sometimes it still works. All right, so what I'm going to do here, because it does not look like it's working, and this is okay. This will probably help you guys out. I'm just going to restart this. Or not restart, but I'll just refresh it. We're going to have everything we need there. Yep, I'll do that one. And this goes here. Is there. That should be everything we need. And now it should work. Yep, there we go. Boot it up right away. So now we can watch it or not. It's really nice. I don't have to actively babysit this thing. I mean, it's fun to watch and make sure that it's actually doing everything correctly. But here, so it's identifying these buttons with some sort of OCR they have, and it might actually be using the AI to generate the location of these buttons. Yeah, it's already filling this out, and I'm not even looking at it. But it's likely not. There was a company called UiPath that did RPA, robotic process automation. Now, see, it's trying to figure out what to do here. Awesome. So I didn't even tell it that it had to acknowledge that, and it was still able to figure it out. So that's awesome. Regardless, so I was talking about UiPath. UiPath is a really nice uh, GUI automation platform that helps you build out automation similar to what browser use would do, but it was a little old fashioned, right? So it depended a lot more on the OCR to determine where those buttons were, and everything was kind of manual. So it didn't have a nice LLM like Gemini 2.0 Flash to think and take these kinds of actions without specific workflow. So now you can see somehow it's on question 21. I kind of doubt that it answered all of these, but you can see that it is navigating through these. Maybe it did answer them that quickly. That is impressive. The last time I did this, I think it took probably about 10 to 15 minutes. And now part of it is probably the browser use, uh, GitHub. I really don't like using Edge, but I can't mess with Google right now. You can see they just updated this an hour ago. They've done 873 commits, so they are actively updating this, and this is a YC founded startup, so this has a lot of potential and a lot of momentum behind it. So it's probably going to fail this, but I think that's okay. I just wanted to show you guys that this. Let's see what we got, guys. Did that very quickly. Yep. So 20 out of 25, which is my book. That's amazing. For Webflow is not a programming language or anything. Um, Webflow is entirely like a no-code platform for dragging and dropping blocks to build an app or a website. And the fact that it can do this, based off Gemini's vision capabilities, you can see we checked that in here to use vision. The fact that it can get an 80% on this, that's incredible. And this is exactly what it got on the first time. I did with the level 1 test, and then I provided the proper information, the Quizlet, and I don't think the Quizlet even exactly answered these questions because they're on some sort of rotation, but it had enough context and information to figure out how to answer this correctly. And it got a 23 out of 25. So anyways, guys, um, this has been awesome. I think this has a lot of potential for businesses where you have a lot of people sitting behind a desk and just plugging away, doing work. I mean, we could take a lot of that off the plate. You know, if you think about it in terms of thinking tasks and doing tasks, you probably wouldn't want to rely on this for a thinking task, but absolutely as many doing tasks as possible you can eliminate with this amazing AI tool. So that's all. If you need anything, drop a comment or whatever else, send an email to me. Thank you. Have a good day.